to lighting in Blender. So in this video we're going to understand that the lamps themselves mainly apply to Blender render, not the Cycles engine. In fact, light is handled differently in Cycles, amongst other things. We're going to be adjusting lamps' properties and seeing its effect. We will switch into rendered mode in the viewport shading options to see what is actually happening as well. Now before we hop over into Blender, let's look at the different lamp options. So we've got a nice table here with the type of lamp on the left, moving across to its description and a real world example. So we have a point lamp, which is an omnidirectional point light source, so the light comes out of it evenly in every direction, much like a traditional light bulb you'd have at home. Now a spotlight is a directional point light source, so it's very similar to the point source, only it has direction to it. So if you imagine like a spotlight, or perhaps when you put a lampshade over the top of your normal bulb, it makes it into a directional light. Now an area lamp simulates an area that's producing light, so like an open window or a TV, laptop screen, something along those lines. Now Hemi is the odd one out here. It doesn't produce any shadows. It's a soft and far away light source, much like the sky is on a cloudy day without any direct sunlight. You'll notice that shadows are few and far between outside when that happens. And finally the sun, well, no guesses there. It simulates the sun, a far away but still direct light. Example, the sun. This of course is like a spotlight in many ways because it has a direction to it, so it casts a shadow, but it will light up the entire scene evenly. Okay, let's hop straight on over into Blender. Right, so we're in Blender here, and let's just work out our workspace. Now I've opened up a new Blender file. If you haven't done this yet, please save the stuff you're working on and open up a new Blender file. So I'm just going to organise my workspace here and just remove bits that I don't need. So I'll get rid of the timeline at the bottom. I'm going to pull out these two windows here because we're going to use both of those in a moment. I'm just going to make the outliner a little larger. Okay, so we can see in our scene, and you probably spotted it before, that we have at least a camera, a cube and a lamp in our scene. Now all of these are objects, and you can literally grab the transform handles and move them about to your heart's content, or hit G and move around the lamp as well. Absolutely fine. You can do that with any object that's in our 3D view here. So first of all, let's go and play with the lamps and see what they look like. So in order to do that, what I'd like you to do is select this cube here and move it up, just so it's floating above this surface here. And then we're going to add another mesh, which is just a plane, and simply scale that up to act as a floor. It doesn't really matter how big it is. In some ways, the bigger the better, but there we go. And now, next to where it says Object Mode in the 3D editor, where you can switch it backwards and forwards, we have the viewport shading options. And usually we've been working with solid. Right at the very top of that is rendered. Now this is what it will look like if you have Blender render selected. If it looks a bit faded out, something like this, you probably have Cycles render selected. And we will be working for the rest of this certain section in Blender render. So make sure it's selected at Blender render along the info header there. Brilliant. So we're in here. Now let's play with our lamp. So we have our lamp here, and once it's selected, in the properties window we can see along here is the same icon. It's this circle with 4 arrows coming out of it, and these are our lamp options essentially. And if we scroll down, there's a preview there that gives you an idea of what's going on, but even better is the preview we can see right in front of us here. So I'm going to scroll down so we just see lamp. So at the moment it's set to a point lamp, omnidirectional light source. So it fills up the scene, but as you can see it fades away. There's a couple of ways you control that fade. Number one is the starting energy, and if you turn up the starting energy, obviously it makes the light really, really bright. And obviously if you turn it all the way down, eventually it will just go black. And beneath that we have the fall off, which tells Blender how to manage the way that it gets dark, how quickly the light falls off essentially, and you can change those about and just see. constant. Inverse square is usually quite good to work with, but you can play to your heart's content with that. Right, so we've got those two options there, and further down we can go into shadow. We can have it cast no shadow, which is a bit odd. I do like it casting a shadow because it looks a bit better. And we have our sampling for a shadow. Now, in general, you'll want to have that a bit higher than 1, but I don't suggest putting it too high, otherwise you may slow your computer down to a crawl. If we set it to 100, for instance, you can see how slow that is to get the detail into our scene. If we, I say set to 100, you can only set it to 64 maximum. If we set it to something like 10, it's relatively quick to finish off the rendering of that scene. Now, the soft size, if we increase that, as you've probably gathered, it makes the shadow, since we're under shadow, a bit softer, and eventually we end up with something that looks a bit better than that harsh square that we had before. So let's have a look at the other lamp types that we've got. So sun will also cast a shadow, but as you can see, the rest of the scene is uniformly lit. Apart from, if we move around, you can see that some sides of the cube are darker than others, and in fact some of them are black. So this is something that you have to get used to with Blender Render, is that if a surface is not being hit by any light at all, it just turns black. There's no detail in there whatsoever. Okay, let's zoom out and move around and turn on the spotlight. So here we have our spotlight not highlighting our cube very well at all. And if you were setting up a scene like this, you could hop back into solid mode here and actually see the cone itself. We can see here that our spotlight is basically not highlighting our cube at the moment. And if I do that, the good chance is that it's now doing that, popping back into rendered mode, and there we go. Our cube is now being hit with that spot, and you can see very quickly the rest of the scene that isn't in our spotlight goes black. And you can control that as you scroll down. You can actually change the spot shape. So that's underneath the shadow options we were playing with a moment ago. The spot shape, you can increase the degrees that light is, or even narrow it down if you want to. Then we've got the blend, which dictates how easy or how smooth the blend between light and dark is. You can have a square spotlight if you like, and this one, I really love this, the halo. It produces that wonderful thing there. Intensity 1 is too much, but if we turn that down a little more, probably even 0.1, that's brilliant. So that's almost like a window opening or something like that. I do like that effect that it does there. Now, this beam here can end up being quite short, and that's all to do with this distance here under fall off. So if we turn that down, you can see that you can end up with it looking a bit like that at times, which just looks a bit odd. If that does happen, you just turn up the distance to a certain amount, and there we go. The cone is all the way to this surface that it's hitting. Now, Hemi, as I said, that's one of these odd ones. I'm just going to turn the energy down just a little. I'm just going to type in 1 and set it back to default. Now, here we go. We can see all around our object. So this is one of the ones that doesn't cast a shadow, but also means that the sides that are not being affected by the light, because Hemi is still directional. If we pop into object mode, we can see that it has a line coming from it. In fact, the sun also has a line coming from it, and you can see the icon changes slightly as well, depending on what we're doing. So it still has a direction to it, but it does not cast a shadow, but it illuminates our scene quite evenly. So you can use a mixture of lamps in your scene to emulate the real world. And finally, we have area. So let's hop back into rendered mode on the viewport shading, and oh, that's really bright. So in this case, let's play with some of the options. Let's play with distance. That looks a bit better. That looks much better, and eventually you'll find a level that works for you. Now, the shadow here, it looks a bit horrible actually, to be quite honest, and that's because we've got samples in the X direction at 10 and the Y at 1, I'm guessing. So if we put that at 10 and 10, that's a much smoother shadow. So area, so as the light's coming out, it's not coming from a point anymore, it's emulating a size, and we can scroll down and you can see the area shape. So this is where you would tweak, and depending on the size of the window in the room or something along those lines, so you could have a really wide window in the room, 10 by 10. I presume that's Blender units there, and obviously the shadow ends up being almost nothing. But if you had a tiny window in a room, perhaps one by one. That would be more like a point light source because it would be much, much smaller. So feel free to play with these options here as much as you like. It's great fun playing with lights in our scene, and you can see their effect in real time on the window here. Now perhaps you want to work with the model and the lamp so you can move them around independently. Sure, grab yourself another window so you've got a rendering window. I'm just going to move this one in because I'm working at quite a low resolution. I'm going to get rid of my tool shelves. So here we have our rendering on, so it's just two 3D windows, and we have our rendering on the left and our 3D view on the right here. And the great thing about this is we can move this to our heart's content, and then on the left hand side or wherever you've put it, see the differences. So I can change that to spot and then move it, and we can see straight away the real-time changes that are being made. Brilliant. So I think there's a challenge for you guys coming up. Set up some lights. So go ahead and in our chest scene, place some lamps to light our scene. Now it's your choice of how you want to light it. Play about and experiment. I'll give you a few hints here that I'm probably going to use a sun lamp and a hemi lamp in order to generate a uniform light for our scene. But if you want it to be more dramatic, perhaps play with a couple of spotlights and cast some long shadows across the board. It's entirely up to you. This is your artistic choice. Have fun. Pause the video now and give that a go. Okay guys, welcome back. Now let's see how I would light the scene. It may be different to how you've done it, but let's have fun and see how we get on. Right, so let's open up our chest scene. So open, low poly chest set, chest scene. So there we go. So this is how it's looking at the moment, which is brilliant. We've got our hierarchy all set up here. Excellent. So we've got one lamp in the scene and it's pretty low down. First of all, I'm just going to see how it looks. So let's hop straight down into rendered mode. Oh, that's kind of dramatic. I kind of like that. But I do want to light up all my pieces. I kind of want to show them off in this case. And remember, you can always alter your lamps at any point. You're not stuck. In fact, you could create lots of lamps in your scene and move them about as if there was an array of lights above you. Yeah, the choice is yours. So in this case, however, I will want to have a sun lamp that does the entire scene absolutely fine. But what it does do, unfortunately, is create these nasty shadows. So I'm going to simply select the lamp in the outliner, pop over to the 3D window and duplicate it. Not a linked duplicate, that's great if you've got multiple lights and you want to control them all at once. However, if I just do a simple duplicate, we've now got two suns. But what I can do here I'm moving that lamp. Don't want to do that. We just can't see I'm doing that because I'm in the rendered mode. This lamp here. So we're going to call this one sun. And I'm going to call this one ambient. Excellent. So we've got sun and an ambient. I've named them both the same. That's really clever of me there. And I'm going to group these together into our lighting. So I'm going to create, you don't have to do this yourself, I'm just doing it for my hierarchy. I'm going to create an empty, it doesn't matter what it is. I'm gonna make it a sphere. I'm gonna call this lighting. And that just helps group my lighting all together as well. So there we go, all in there. I'll set the parent to object. And I'm going to correct the spelling mistake there. There we go. So lighting, and we've got ambient and sun, and both of them are a sun at the moment, and we can see that we've got these dark areas. However, on the ambient one, when it's selected, I'm going to go to hemi. Now it looks like that, and we've still got some shadows, but I think the hemi's it's actually making the board very, very bright in this case. So I'm going to turn down the energy that the hemi has, perhaps even to, let's try 0.3 or thereabouts. Yeah, I like that. That's good. Let's go to the sun itself, and I'm going to split this window so I can see what's going on. Now the sun is here in our scene. I don't want it there. If I put it here and just hit rotate it around, lift it up a little more because it is a sun after all, and rotate that down so you can have lots of fun with this. It's now shining on our board. Let's rotate round the rendering. Let's go to view and just View selected. There we go, we zoomed in there. Yeah, that looks good. I like that lots. Nothing's blown out. We've still got detail over the place. I like that lots. How did you guys get on? Please share your lighting attempts in the discussions. I'd love to see what lighting schemes you came up with yourself. Perhaps some groovy spotlights there, or a deep dark thing. But remember, we do want to show off our pieces and our board at the moment, so don't make it too noir on us, too dark and contrasty, because we won't be able to see all the effort you guys are putting in. Okay, as I said, put those in the discussions, and I will see you in the next lecture.